Hello ladies, gentlemen and in-betweeners, welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Monday the 27th of January 2020 and today we're starting with an update. First of all, forgive me for the fact that I'm unable to keep an eye on developing news when I'm creating videos for you. But this is an update to the report on PC Stuart Outten from Fridays report that was sent to me by Evil Speak. Thank you. PC Outten's attacker, Muhammed Rodwan, whose crime against Outten was downgraded from attempted murder to wounding with intent, which has to be one of the most ridiculous decisions ever, was actually sentenced on Friday. Now, I'm not going to refresh you on the incident itself in this video. You can find a video link in the description to that. But after being cleared of attempted murder and instead being convicted of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, Rodwan was sentenced to 16 years in prison, not suspended, with an extra 3 years on licence on release after being branded a significant risk to members of the public. The judge said this was a brutal and shocking attack with a machete on a police officer carrying out his duties during what should have been a routine stop of your van, said Mrs. Justice Carr. She also added PC Outten had no option but to use force against Rodwan to try and detain him, and the handyman had initiated the violence. Also that the situation was entirely of your own making. All you had to do was cease resisting arrest, as you well know, and then the struggle would have stopped. Now I have to say that this isn't necessarily a statement I can agree with. We've seen many times police officers using force after people have been detained, and even using force on people who weren't even struggling. I've been there myself. And although I'm not trying to take away from the fact that this was a vicious and uncalled for act of violence from Rodwan, I simply can't agree with the judge on that last statement. Now, it is interesting to note that the jurors through that trial were not told that Rodwan had seriously injured 2 other people with a machete in unprovoked attacks in 1997, and that he had also served a prison sentence for rape. And this is interesting because these are serious crimes, and yet they're allowing them to be overlooked during the trial. Whereas there are some people in the auditing community that I know about who have been told that previous incidents, whether they've been convicted or not, can and will be brought up against them in court, even if they weren't charged. You know, how the hell does that work? It's said that Rodwan had been smoking cannabis on the day, and he admitted that he was angry with police because he's always being stopped. However, a search of the police database later found no record of him being previously pulled over by the Met. Rodwan attempted to flee when told he was suspected of not having insurance, and he then kicked PC Outten in the chest before punching him twice in the face. As the officer tried to arrest him and subdue him with a throat hold, Rodwan reached into the back of his van to arm himself with a 2-foot machete, which he said had been used for gardening work. Rodwan was said to be unrepentant after his arrest, insisting he was the one who had been attacked, and told the custody sergeant, "My life is worth more than his life." Rodwan from Outten denied all the charges, but he was convicted of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and acquitted of the attempted murder charge and possession of an offensive weapon. He will, however, serve at least 2/3 of the 16-year prison sentence, so it said, before being considered for release. He will then spend an extra 3 years on licence once his prison sentence is up. But let's face it, with so-called terrorists being allowed out of jail early, who's to say what will happen in a few years with Rodwan's sentence? But that's not the whole story behind this incident, because since Rodwan was sentenced on Friday, new news has come forward. And before I go into it, I do want to say, however, that in this case where there is genuine danger to life, personally I feel PC Outten was well within his rights to have used the taser. In fact, if we lived in a society where we were not denied firearms, anyone in their right mind would have shot Rodwan and gotten away with it. Absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. But Rodwan's solicitor, Sophie Khan, said he acted in self-defence in the face of excessive force from PC Outten. On Twitter, she said she was surprised that the Metropolitan Police haven't started disciplinary action against PC Outten for assault and battery on Muhammed Rodwan. Now, some of you may well disagree with me on this, but my values are that violence should only be used in cases of danger to life, whether that's your life or someone else's, and this was clearly a case of danger to life. Therefore, PC Outten needed to act. If PC Outten was from the firearms unit, I would guarantee that Rodwan would now be dead. So for Outten to defend himself with the taser in this case is more than justifiable. Ms. Khan, who has represented people injured by taser and campaigns against excessive use of the weapon, added that the officer's actions were in part found to be excessive use of force. She said that the case had shown there remains a risk to public by police misuse of the taser. And she's right, there is a risk. But that risk needs to be dealt with over a case that shows clear excessive force, not a case where somebody nearly dies and tries to protect themselves with a taser. This isn't a cop tasering someone because they're walking away from a friendly chat. This is a clear life and death situation. It's a shame that the public aren't allowed to arm themselves in order to prevent attacks of such nature. You know, we're allowed to be killed because we're second-class citizens when it comes to us and the police, and bearing in mind, the police are simply paid members of the public to do the job that we should all be doing. There really shouldn't be any difference, in my opinion, between the tools that they carry and the tools that we're allowed to carry. Now, don't you all get carried away thinking I'm turning to the dark side, because I'm not. I just will always be honest in my reports to you or any other video I put out, and if I come across an incident that I share that shows the police doing the right thing or can show that the constable involved deserves recognition for the way they handled the situation, then I will do just that. It's just a shame that there isn't more of these incidents to share. Now here's something a little different. Well, actually it's not different at all, just that this time it's military police rather than the normal kind. 31-year-old Thomas Harding was dismissed from the army and jailed for 15 months, not suspended, after being convicted of 2 counts of sexual assault. He was also placed on the sex offenders register for 10 years. Bulford Military Court in Wiltshire heard that Harding and his victim were at a pirate-themed fancy dress party hosted by the Royal Navy as part of the tri-service course when he first tried to seduce her. After the bar closed, Harding went upstairs and was talking to the alleged victim outside her room. The victim, who cannot be named for legal reasons, said, "After a while he came towards me and tried to kiss me, and I laughed it off, essentially told him, 'I'm not in the sport of shagging people I work with.'" Well played. Although someone who's in the police, military or otherwise, with their narcissistic natures, simply isn't going to let that comment go. Several days later, they were drinking together in the victim's bedroom before deciding to go to sleep, at which point Harding stripped down to his boxer shorts and tried to convince the victim to do the same. He said, "Why don't you take your jeans off?" And I replied, "Because at this point they are basically like a human condom, I'm not taking them off." I wasn't fearful, I just didn't really want to take them off. He took them off playfully, and although I had said no, I didn't think it was anything malicious at that point. Now, I'm not being funny here, but I have to call it as I see it. If you really didn't want them off, you should have kicked his ass out of your room. Who in their right mind would allow that kind of thing to happen without kicking the fuck knuckle out? Not, I repeat, not that I'm suggesting she deserved anything, because nobody deserves to be assaulted. But if someone was doing something I didn't like and I had already told them not to do it, they would be fucked off out of here. Now, it was said that after falling asleep, the junior officer woke to find Harding sexually assaulting her. She said, "I remember turning around and being like, 'What are you doing?' I thought maybe I had been dreaming and maybe I had imagined it. At that point, I should have told him to leave." After a second incident that same night, she said, "I just could not work out what was happening. I said to him, 'What are you doing?' and pushed him off." I'll refer you back to my previous statement. But if someone was doing something I didn't like and I had already told them not to do it, they would be fucked off out of here. Now again, for avoidance of doubt, I am not suggesting that all or anyone, man or woman, should have to be subjected to this kind of assault. But surely when the person started to remove your clothes, playfully or not, they would, in many cases, have gotten a slap and been told to do one. It just seems a little odd to me. However, let's get back to the main point, and that is a military plod getting banged up for 15 months. It's nice to see that the military PD are doing more about sexual deviance than our own police. Now, this next one is straight from West Midlands Police's own website. Please try not to laugh. A former police community support officer who lied about a window being smashed in his home in a long-running dispute with a family member has been jailed for 6 months, not suspended. Aftab Younis, aged 25, had previously pled guilty to perverting the course of justice at Wolverhampton Crown Court. On the morning of the 14th of June, just hours before a court hearing about the issuing of a non-molestation order against a family member, Younis rang police claiming a side window had been smashed at his home. He said a note had also been put through the door with the words "Don't do it" typed on it, and suggested the family member may have been involved. But investigating officers found the window was undamaged and covered in old dust. Also, no note was found. Younis resigned from West Midlands Police when he was arrested in June. In jailing Younis to a 6-month term, the judge said, "You breached the trust of others. It was a deliberate act and abuse of your position." Surprise, surprise. Detective Constable Jason Dooley from CID said, "While most officers uphold the highest standards, this case shows that we will not shy away from investigating and prosecuting anyone who tries to abuse the justice system." Yes, West Midlands Police, of course you do, and of course you won't. An internal investigation has been launched by Police Scotland after allegations of a mole leaking confidential information.
Ah, and here he is.
So you're the...
Most excellent agent we've ever seen.
Yes, most excellent agent we've ever seen. Thank you.
By the way, I realize that I have a large mole on my face.
Where? What? Where's that mole? I didn't see one.
I also realize the irony that I am myself a mole.
No one would make that connection.
Anyway, well done, old chap. Jolly good work.
Yes, nice to mole you. Meet you. Nice to meet you, mole. Don't say mole.
Stop.
I said mole.
Stop.
Bye.
Mole. Mole. Mole.
Oh, shut up! Mole, 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 mole.
Sorry, I do try to be professional, but sometimes, well. Anyway, Police Scotland refused to discuss the details of the probe, but a spokesperson confirmed an investigation was underway. They said, "We are conducting an internal investigation following an allegation of misconduct relating to a member of police staff in the Borders area in December 2019. Enquiries are ongoing." Although at this time it's quite unclear as to the extent of this leaked information and what it's been used for and by who. Criticism was made about a lack of officers from both Police Scotland and the local authority financed community action team, as well as response times during October and November. Gangs of youths were blamed for several assaults, as well as acts of vandalism and the terrorising of dog walkers in the Haylodge Park area. But it's now claimed that confidential information may have been used to condemn the force during the rows. And it was chairman of Peebles Community Council, Les Turnbull, who is a former superintendent of an English police force, who led the criticism during several meetings. I will try and keep on top of this, and when more information becomes available, I'll add it to a future PAP report. It is quite confusing as to what exactly has gone on, but I will update you when I get the info. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video, there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.